Hello everyone, welcome to DevOps Info channel. Today we are going to talk about one of the cloud network security component, which is the Azure Web Application Firewall. It is going to be also one of the topic under the zero trust security model, especially from the cloud native offerings from the Microsoft. So overall, in general, what is the Web Application Firewall? Uh, It is used to protect your applications no matter you're hosting it in the Azure, in the on-premise, or in any other cloud services. It integrates with Azure services like Azure Application Gateway and Azure Front Door to provide a comprehensive security solution. And it's a cloud native service which is designed to basically protect the web applications from all kind of common threats and vulnerabilities, which is outlined in the OWASP top 10. So, if you're asking me what is OWASP, it stands for Open Worldwide Application Security Project. It's free and open resource. It's like led by a non-profit OWASP Foundation, and the OWASP top 10 is the result of recent research based on a comprehensive data compiled from over 40 partner organizations. Like, for example, in the OSP, if you're talking about, they talk about the SQL injection attacks and the cross-site scripting. And yeah, if you know about the SQL injection attacks, like for the SQL injection attacks harness the power of the code for the malicious purposes. Like usually they infiltrate the backend of the application or a web page to view, alter, or delete the information. So these kind of attacks they support. And let me go through the slide which I prepared to get started with. One second, let's go to the slide so that it would be more easier. Okay, so if you talk about the Azure WAF, overall it looks like this, and they protect by default the OSP rules protects against cross-site scripting and the SQL injection attacks. With this, like you can protect your web applications. Um, and any issues with your web application, that is one of the entry point for the cyber criminals to exploit a website or exploit your application. So for example, a bot attack, we also talked about a bot attack. Like a bot attack is a type of attack where they use the scripts to overload the target with a traffic which is not a legitimate, that would disrupt the site, that can also steal the data and even make fraudulent purchases or any other malicious activities. So in order to protect all these kind of things, you need to have a layer of a protection in your application. So these kinds is more that you can enable from the application layer, which is on the layer 7. So on the application layer, if these are the offerings coming from the Microsoft, so basically the Azure WAF components. I'm going to talk about the Azure WAF components over here. In the Azure WAF components, like you can talk about, first is the Azure Application Gateway. In the Azure Application Gateway, it basically acts as a reverse proxy, and it would provide a traffic based load balancing, web traffic load balancing. So everything is on the layer 7. The Azure Application Gateway actively safeguards your web application against common exploits and vulnerabilities, and you can also add more protection from the Azure Application Gateway. So the Azure WAF components, the first thing is the Azure Application Gateway. So there are two tiers on the Azure Application Gateway. How to create it, we will take a look at it while we are showing the demo. And the next part is the Azure Front Door. The Azure Front Door is a global, scalable entry point that provides a fast, reliable, and a secure access to the web applications. Like, for example, if you have your web application hosted in Azure, that works as a CDN that is providing a lot of content. Then you can protect that with Azure Front Door. We will also take a look at it in the demo. And last but not the least, in the Azure WAF components, you can also have the Azure Sentinel, which is really good. It provides the security information and the event management for the threat detection and response for all your applications. You can forward all your logs to the Sentinel workspaces and you can make use of them. So now the question comes in, like which one to choose, like which is more suitable for me. So according to my environment, it can vary. Every environment it can vary. So basically, if you talk about the Azure Application Gateway, as I said, it has two offerings, and it's a layer 7 load balancer. And in the Azure Application Gateway, if the standard one, for example, if you're going with the standard one, you can do only the SSL offload and a few other path based routing, and then these kind of things you can do with the standard offering. For example, if you're going with the version 2 offering, then you can integrate with the web application firewall, and then you can do more enhancement. For example, you can restrict the application coming from a specific location. You can have the performance. You can have the auto scalability. You can have the high availability and a lot of things with the when you are integrating with the web application firewall. So usually the recommended way is to have a version 2 of application gateway, and then you integrate that with the web application firewall. Then that will help you to have a better protection. And when you're talking about the Azure front door, yeah, like if you have a global application which has a content delivered that needs to be distributed globally, then you can have this as a global load balancing and a edge protection. So usually the front door with the web application firewall is the more choice if you want to protect your global applications. And overall, it looks like this. And you have the web application firewall, you have the application gateway, and in the web application firewall, you have the health probes, which is really good. It can detect the availability of your application based on the probe setting that you are having, and then you can, if it is coming a different response, then you can you'd be knowing that the application is not running. And the best part is the backend pools. In the backend pools, you have the ability to uh, add any IP address or an FQDN which is publicly available. So in this case, like what it is doing is like it is helping you to basically configure like the protection on application which is running on your data center. You have it connected via the express route, then the IP address is visible, and then you can just add an IP or the FQDN. Even it is not mandatory that you need to have this on express route. If you have a site-to-site VPN or a public IP or FQDN which is available on the internet, you can protect that behind the uh, web application firewall. So with this, with the WAF, then you would be able to protect the backend pools, no matter if it is running in the uh, Azure, if it is running in a data center, or even in a public network. So in the WAF, then again you have two types of WAF, which is the regional WAF and in the global WAF. So if you want to create the protection to a regional bound, then you can use the regional WAF. If you want to protect your application across the globe, then you can choose the global WAF. Yeah, this is the overall picture how like it protects your environment, because nowadays all the environment is like in a hybrid, and also they have a multi-cloud strategy. So in this case, you can use this web application firewall to protect your applications which is across the estate, like it's running in the Azure global network. It is on your data center, and also it's running on third party cloud services. You can definitely think about it and make use of the regional web application firewall, global web application firewall, or Azure Front Door. So overall, it looks like this. And let's go to the demo. So for this demo, I have created Azure Web Application Firewall. So the moment when you create the web application firewall, it looks like this. So basically, if you see the web application firewall, um, it has the policy settings. If you go to the policy settings, these are the body inspection rules and the the maximum request body limit. You need to make sure that you are configuring this based on the application, whatever you are hosted and how it is working. And by default, the web application firewall has two types of rules, which is the managed rules and the custom rules. So this managed rules are enabled by default, and they are present in the detection mode in your WAF policy. You can disable or enable them individual rules within the manage rule set to meet your application requirement. For example, if I go to the one of the rule, I just select them, and then I can do add exclusion, I can assign, I can enable, disable, and change action. You have three options: anomaly score, log, or block. So basically, it is by default in the detection mode. Basically, in this, like, your request is logged but not blocked, and you can change it to you know uh, anomaly score. And Microsoft has something called anomaly score, and this anomaly score is like it changes from value 5 2 to 5, the 5 being the great value. And if you set these rules in the prevention mode, the request would be blocked. And if it is in the detection mode, the request is only logged but it is not blocked. So yeah, these are the rules that you have. And for example, if you want to add exclusions, you can come to the exclusions and you can create an exclusion. Yeah, exclusion can always happen. For example, if there is any false positive for your application which is being blocked here, like for example, an active directory inserted token that is used for authentication in your application. You can configure exclusions here, where for example a specific WAF rules are being blocked here. Then you can make use of this evaluation policies, exclusions, and then make sure that those URLs are not blocked. For example, I have created one exclusion here, just like, to show you. Here, if you go to the edit, then you see the request headers keys, an X scanner, and then I have basically link this to a known CVE. This is just an example. Like this, you can create a number of exclusions. That's not a problem. Yeah, so when going further, they have also the custom rules. In the custom rules, like basically you can create any rule that meets your requirement. Like for example, I have created a custom rule: if the IP address matches coming from this range, then allow the traffic. This is like or if you know any rules, if you want to deny the traffic from a specific IP, then you can go with this custom rules. Yeah, there are multiple things you can define with the custom rules. So that's the benefit over here. And the next thing is like the associated application gateway. You can integrate this to a gateway as I stated. It needs to be a web application uh, gateway version 2. We'll take a look at it. And then if you talk about the sensitive data, this is also very good. This sensitive data is like, for example, it does the log scrubbing option. Like the web application firewall helps you to remove the sensitive data from your WAF logs. Like for example, if someone like your application is receiving some payment data or users personal information, or it receives the credit card information, what you can do is by utilizing this rules engine, it will allow you to build a query that will help you to mask the sensitive data. Like once these rules, when they are evaluating, like for example, you are creating a rule to scrub the credit card information for the logs that it has received for an application, then this this tool will basically mask that information from your logs, and it would replace with the asterisk symbol. Like for example, in this case, like you see, I have created information like if the request header has the credit card number, then mask that information. So all these things you can do with the sensitive data by using the log scrubbing, which is really good. So this is what you see it on the web application firewall. So basically, the web application firewall, the manage rules are enabled by default, and then you can come here and see, yeah, you have a lot of rules, and it's like you can enable or disable them, and then based on your requirement, by default they're like available over here. You can and they are available and they're enabled, so you can come here and disable. You can change the action to anomaly score, log, or block, and then you can add the exclusion, and if you want you can also assign. So these are the things that is available by default, enabled on the manage rules. And if you go to the custom rules, yeah, in the custom rules you can create whatever the rules that is matching your requirement. And the sensitive data, yeah, you can do the log scrubbing, and whatever the data that you want to mask for the logging information, you can do it over here. And now let's go to the load balancing. In the load balancing, you have these type of services available, like the application gateway, the front door, the load balance, and the traffic manager. But one thing to keep in mind, like if you are utilizing the front door, like Microsoft recommends not to use the traffic manager. So you should choose any one of these two, either the front door or the traffic manager, whatever it is suitable for you. You need to evaluate and then finally choose them. So going further, let's talk about the application gateway. Yeah, it provides a WAF capabilities at the application layer. Basically it acts as a reverse proxy. Yeah, if you have worked in a lot of reverse proxy in the past, like F5 or yeah, TMG, anything, yeah, it is more or less like that. So it has the capability of the SSL, TLS termination, right? Offloads the encryption, decryption from backend servers to the WAF. It also gives you the DDoS protection. Like when combined with Azure DDoS protection, it offers a defense against the volumetry attacks. And the best part is like it does the scalability and performance. Like for example, it does the auto scaling. It automatically scales to handle varying traffic loads, ensuring the consistent performance. And also it gives you the caching and the content delivery. Like for example, when I choose one of the load balancers which I have created. So if you see here, the first thing is it gives me the monitoring, which is good. Yeah, it looks like the data coming from the log analytics. Like if you see some of the response status by HTTP, total request received, total request that has been failed. So in this example, I have just created one of the application which is running in the Azure, and I have created that application. I have targeted. I have added that application into the load balancer so that it is getting into the web application firewall so that it will be protected. So if you go to the configuration, in the configuration you see the WAF version 2, and then you have the option to choose the standard version. I told in the standard, if you create, you won't be able to add it to the web application firewall. So you should always make sure that you're creating WAF v2, only then you'll be able to add it to the web application firewall. So over here, the associated application gateways, only if it is a version 2, then you'll be able to add it. If you're creating version 1, then it's not possible. So here you have the option to increase the instance count and reduce it. So this is possible over here. And in the web application firewall, you see the application firewall policy, which is the one which the web application firewall which we saw a few minutes back. And in the backend pools, this is very interesting. As I stated, the application gateway backend pools can contain the NIC, the virtual machine scale sets, the public IP addresses, internal IP addresses, FQDN, multi-tenant backend, like for example, the app services, which we have in our example. So the application gateway can communicate with instances which is present outside of the virtual network. That is like for example, members of the backend pools can be across the clusters, across the data centers, or outside Azure. As long as the IP connectivity is there, then you're perfectly. For example, you see here when I come here and add a pool, then you give it some name and the target type, the IP address of FQD, and if it is publicly resolvable, it is well and good. You would be able to protect it from here. You have the virtual machine, VMS, and app services. So with this, it's really nice that you would be able to protect your on-premise applications and the other applications which is running in the other clouds. And we're coming to talk about the monitoring and login. Yeah, it captures the WAF events, performance metrics, and access logs for analysis. You can also send this to Sentinel. That's very good. That gives you the capability to do the advanced monitoring and alerting and sync. So this is what you see it on the backend pools. Let's go back and you see here in the backend settings. This is what you can create a backend port, and then you can request timeout and like the new settings, whatever you want, you'll be able to do this. And the front end IP configuration, you can create the IP, which is like in my case, the public IP is this. This would be available over the internet, and this is the private link. In the private link you can allows enablement to access from a private network. Like in this case, like you can also connect between two different subscriptions. That is also possible. And you have the private endpoint connections. You can do this. So in the SSL settings, by default, it protects, it is SSL, and if you want to create an SSL based on your requirement, you would be able to do that. And the listeners, by default, if you see here, these are the listeners. Like if you talk about the cipher suits, it supports all these cipher suits, and you can definitely go here and uh, add a listener and do it based on a requirement. In my example, I'm just using port 80 because I don't have a certificate to create a listener on a HTTPS. So that's the reason I'm just showing it as an example. Suppose this demo, it would be deleted immediately. And in the health probes, you see you can add a health probe, and in the health probe, based on the path, if you have index.html or ASPX file to monitor the availability of your application, you'll be able to create a multiple health probes over here. Yeah, so this is what you see it on the web application gateway, and yeah, basically it's a layer 7 load balancer. On this, you can do the path based routing, or you can do the uh, probes, health probes, and you can protect your application on the layer 7 with all the features you see it over here. And the front door, yeah, it's a Microsoft modern cloud CDN network that provides fast, reliable, and a secure access between your users and your applications. So, as I stated, Microsoft advises using front door or a traffic manager for the majority of solutions, but not both, because Azure Traffic Manager is a load balancer that runs on DNS. It routes the traffic straight to the endpoints of your origin. So Azure Front Door, on the other hand, ends the connection. So there is a difference, like because the Azure Traffic Manager, that is purely dependent on the DNS, but this one, it ends the connection, terminates the connection. So front door is a good option if you require web application firewall TLS termination. If you want to terminate the traffic on the edge, you can use the web application firewall, and um, for the CDN, it's really good. Use Traffic Manager if you want a straightforward global load balancing solution with the direct connections from your client to your endpoints, which is good. So overall, this is the example I have created for the Azure Front Door. This is a standard version I created, and simply I just added the application, the web application, which is running on the in the Azure App Service for this example. And here, like you see in the front door manager, you have a lot of things that you can configure. And also you can add the domains. When you go and add the domains here, you have an option to add the non-validated and Azure pre-validated domain and all the other DNS services. So overall, in the compliance management, if you do a combination of protection that is coming from the Azure Web Application Firewall, Application Gateway, and the Azure Friend Door that would help the organization to meet the regulatory requirements such as for example, GDPR providing a robust security controls. So the use cases could be like protect your web applications, protecting your global CDNs, and also the regulatory compliance. So in summary, it's this offerings from the Azure is a critical security that safeguards the web applications from other common threats and the vulnerabilities. So integrated with Friendo, Application Gateway, and CDN, it provides a comprehensive protection. So that's all I wanted to give overview about it. Please feel free to explore your subscription, and I'm sure this video would help you a lot. Thank you.